Hola amigos, hola amigos, hola amigos, hola amigos, hola, 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 hola. Welcome back to 90 Days of Spanish. This is day 7. In this series, we're building your Spanish step by step, so that by the end of it, you don't just know a bunch of vocabulary, but you understand how the language works and how to use it. In day 6, we learn how AR ending regular verbs work. Today, we complete the system. We're going to learn IR and ER verbs. And that's all the regular verbs in Spanish. Endings AR, ER, IR. So by the end of this video, you will have a very clear understanding in the present tense of how verbs in Spanish work. Before we get into how the verbs work, today's learning technique that I want to teach you is called active recall. It's based on cognitive science, and it was popularized in the book Make It Stick. Now, how does it work? You take your notes and you close them. We don't look at them. And we try to challenge ourselves. How much of what you've written down can you actually recall? Sounds simple, but we don't do it often enough. We take notes and we take notes and we take notes. Then we review the notes and we read them and read them and read them. And we're like, yeah, okay, I get it. It's familiar. I understand. But can you recall them without looking at them? That is the third and final step of actually knowing something. You can understand something. You can learn something, meaning that if in a given context the topic comes up, you're able to understand, use and participate in the conversation. But there is the final stage, the third level, when point blank, with nothing to prompt you, with no context, maybe just a prompt, maybe just a simple question of explain this. Can you? It's almost comparable to can you teach? Because if you can teach it, then you actually understand it. That's what it's like. Let's get a little bit into the details of how we can use it. So, step by step, and this can be done written, this can be done spoken. Both are actually recommended. I would say don't pick and choose. Use both ways. So, the first thing you do, you take your notes, right? You're studying something, you're learning something, say you're learning from this video, you take your notes of how the verbs in Spanish work, how to conjugate ER and IR verbs endings in in present tense. Then you close your notes. After you've had some time to look at them, after you've had some time to understand them, make sure you got it, then you close it and you ask yourself, okay, explain out loud. How does it work? What are the endings? How do you need to change them? Pick a specific verb and see if you can actually make the changes and conjugate them. You can do it orally, right? Just speak out loud, say it out loud. Then test yourself. Then once you've finished, go back, open your notes and be like, oh, I got it wrong. But what did you get wrong? And that gives you information you can work with. That tells you what you need to work on more, what you need to pay more attention to, right? Written, also brilliant because using your motor skills, moving your own hand to write down. If you have a little whiteboard, that would be perfect. Write on the whiteboard, right? You close your notes and you go, okay, let me conjugate this verb. And you write it down. You try to remember how it works. How it is it that you just learned it. How you wrote it down in your own notes. Can you do it? Then open up your notes and compare. Check. Active recall is generally one of the most important basis, foundational steps of learning pretty much anything, but obviously for learning Spanish, very, very useful. So let's get into the verbs. Let's start with ER regular verbs, ending in ER. Take an example verb, comer, comer, to eat. Very common, very popular verb, very useful as well. So what do? We remove the ending, we get rid of the ER ending. We're left with just this, just the beginning of the word. And then you make yourself a chart, you make yourself a list, and you replace that ER that we have removed for the endings of the present tense for ER ending verbs in Spanish. What are they like? What do they look like? Let's take a look. Remember, by now, I need you to have remembered the pronouns in Spanish. Remember the list we talked about? If you haven't, here is a reminder. Yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Right? I, you, he, she, we, you, they. And you in plural. As I said before, This is something you have to remember. This is something you're going to need a lot. So make sure you use that active recalling technique to memorize this list, okay? Because this is the basis of conjugation in Spanish, is the basis of how verbs work in Spanish. Without it, we can't go anywhere. Let's start. Comer, yo como. So we replace ER for O. Yo como. Tú comes. So we replace the ER for ES. Él come. ER for E. Ella, él, and ella are always the same. Él come, ella come. So you just replace ER for an E. That one's easy. You learn them together. You can remember them together. Nosotros, we. Nosotros comemos. Comemos. So we replace the ER for EMOS. Hemos. Comemos. Ellos, ellas, same thing. Ellos and ellas is the same. Ellos comen, ellas comen. So we replace the ER for EN. And the last one, ustedes, meaning you in plural. It's actually the same as ellos and ellas. Ustedes comen. So you can group those two. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, group them. Because it's always going to be the same change, the same ending. Comen. So, how does the list look? Yo como. Tú comes. Él come. Ella come. Nosotros comemos. Ellos comen. Ellas comen. Ustedes comen. And there you go. Just like that, you can say, in the present simple, I eat, you eat, he eats, she eats, they eat, we eat, and you eat, but for a group of people. Which, as I've said many times, it's the equivalent of you guys in English. Now, if you're coming here from day 6, you might notice that there are similarities between the endings of AR verbs and the endings of ER verbs. That's not a coincidence. It's because conjugations in Spanish are systematic. There is patterns to it, right? Of course, there are loads of exceptions. I'm not going to lie and pretend they're not. They are. This is not a 100% rule them all kind of thing. No, there are exceptions. But for the most part, as long as we're talking about regular verbs, you're safe as long as you understand and remember these endings, these patterns. And even better, as you get familiar with them, you get used to using them, it almost becomes second nature to just conjugate because you use them a lot and then it just becomes a part of your subconscious process of, instead of having to sit down every time you use a verb and you go, oh, what was the ending, what was the ending, what was the ending? No. We need to understand it, but once we understand it, we need to practice using it so it becomes second nature, okay? And you don't have to pause every time to think, what should the ending be, okay? Important detail there. Now, what about IR ending verbs? IR. Let's take a verb. Vivir. Vivir. To leave. By the way, something important to mention here. This verb is vivir, not vivir. There is no V sound in Spanish, right? With that being said, it is changing a little bit. I believe it's an influence of English being very widely spoken language, and obviously the V sound of English, I think, is filtering into Spanish. So you will hear a lot of songs, you will hear a lot of native speakers sometimes mix in a few V sounds here and there. Spanish is a widely spoken language by millions and millions of people. So, of course, there are differences. But for you, as a second language learner, for you learning Spanish, the easiest thing to remember is stick to V. The V letter has a B sound, okay? Learn it like that. Use it like that. If at some point you feel comfortable enough, you're already fluent enough that you can tell when native speakers change, then you can do it too. But for learning as a beginner, the technical correct way of pronouncing the word vivir is with a B. Vivir. Okay? That's important. So, let's get into it. How do we conjugate the verb vivir, to leave? Well, we remove the IR, like we did before, and we go. Let's go down the list. Yo vivo. Yo vivo. So we change the IR for an O again. vivir, vivo. Tú vives. Again, we change it for IR for an ES. Vives. Él, ella, vive. So just an E. Él vive, ella vive. Nosotros vivimos. Vivimos. So we get rid of the IR and we replace it with IMOS. Imos. Vivimos. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, because remember what we said, these three, we can group them. They're always going to be the same ending. So, ellos viven. Ellas viven. Ustedes viven. Right? So, we replace the IR for EN. Viven. That's the whole list. Yo vivo, tú vives, él vive, ella vive, nosotros vivimos, ellos, ellas, ustedes viven. Once you understand how it works, once you get the logic behind it, it starts to make sense. Because the thing is, with Spanish, if you just look at the verbs, you just look at the conjugations, and you're like, oh my God, I need to change it every time, change this for every person. It sounds like a lot. It multiplies every verb you have to learn by 7 or 8 different variations, right? That sounds like a lot. But regular verbs, as we've seen in this video and on day 6, have a pattern. So what we need to do is understand the pattern, remember it, and make sure we can recall it, make sure we can use it naturally, right? Let's do a bit of a comparison of what we've learned between these two videos of day 6 and day 7. The AR verbs, the ER verbs, and the IR verbs. They're not random. Verbs in Spanish function like families, like clusters that you can separate based on how the endings are. That's why it's so important that every time you learn a new verb, you make sure that you know the infinitive or the original form of the verb, which is an ending in either AR, ER, or IR. If you're learning a verb and it doesn't end in one of those three, it's because you're not learning it with the infinitive. Go ahead and Google what is the infinitive of this. Let's say you're watching a TV show or you're listening to a song and you hear the word jugamos. You quickly go and Google, hey, what is jugamos? What does it mean? ¿Qué significa the word jugamos? And it says, oh, it's a verb. It means play or playing. You're like, okay, cool. So jugamos means to play. No. Jugamos, is that an AR ending, an ER ending, an IR ending? Neither, right? So what does that mean? That means that we haven't figured out the infinitive. So you quickly take that, jugamos, you put it in Google and you type, what is the infinitive form of jugamos? And it will tell you, jugar. Jugar. You see? It's an AR ending. So once you look at it, because we've learned the patterns, right? On this video, we're learning the patterns. You will realize, oh, hold on a second. So if it is an AR ending, jugar, and the one that I saw is jugamos, oh, that means is we play. Nosotros jugamos. Because you already know that the endings tell you who is doing the action. Right? There you have it. So now I'm confident that up until this point, you now should understand how the verbs work in Spanish. What comes next? Practice. So what I want you to do is, on the notes that I hope you're taking right now when you're watching this video, you're going to take your notes, you're going to close them, and then you're going to test yourself by writing a comment. Pick a verb, any verb. If you don't have one at the top of your head, just go ahead and Google list of 100 regular verbs in Spanish. Then take that verb, go into the comments and conjugate it for the present, meaning change the endings for yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, ustedes, ellos, ellas, and leave it in the comments without looking at your notes to test. Can you recall what you've just learned in this video? Everything you've just watched. Can you recall? How much can we recall? And if you can't, the things that you can't, don't worry. It's not about being perfect. Practice, homework, exercise. This is something that I believe personally, it's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a bad habit we learned from school. My students, happens a lot, my private students sometimes come to me with the homework or the assignment that I've given them for the week. They come back to the lesson and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not sure if this is correct, I don't know if these sentences are right, I tried, I did my best, but I couldn't. And I'm like, why are you sorry? What's the problem? What's the issue? If every bit of homework I give you, you do perfectly well, it means I have nothing to teach you. If you already knew how to do all of it, then it would mean you already speak Spanish and there is no reason for you to come to lessons, right? You're here to learn. The homework is not to prove you're perfect. No, the homework is to show us what you do know and what we need to work on a little bit more. So we are not chasing perfection. We are not chasing full marks. We're not doing any of that. We're here to learn, to improve, to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in the beautiful process that is learning Spanish, so that we can actually get ahead, so that we can actually learn and we can actually feel confident in using it in real life. So making mistakes, it's crucial. It's such a big part of the learning process. Okay? So feel comfortable with that and go ahead and make as many mistakes as you can by conjugating verbs in the comments, and I'll give you any feedback or answer any questions you have. If there is anything you're not sure about in this video, let me know. Leave a question and I'll be happy to help you with that. So that's it for day 7, my friends. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, if you would like to study with me online, just go ahead and check my link in the description down below. You can send me a message and we can talk about having a trial session so we see how I can help you with your learning process to get to your Spanish goals. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss day 8. Nos vemos.